world of gamers, going off in a slightly different direction once again. Every now and again, whenever I get the urge, I will talk about something gaming related rather than just showing a game from my collection. There's something that is a bit of a hot topic right now, which is something that I've been aware of for a long time. Recently, there was a man arrested in the United States for selling counterfeit Nintendo products on Amazon. Allegedly, he has made around about $2 million selling these counterfeit products on Amazon. And allegedly, it's been going on for a long time and has only just recently been discovered. This is nothing new. It's not something that is a one-off case. It's not something that has just come about in modern times. It's been going on for, I would say, almost as long as video games have been a thing. I can remember back in the late 80s, early 90s, people bootlegging C64 tapes and later on making copies of Amiga games that were on disc. And then I could give you lots of examples of this type of thing taking place later on down the line. The PlayStation 1, for example, is a console that was chipped from the very moment that a person realized that it could be done, and there was a huge market for knockoff games. And that's been the case for just about every single console that you can think of, even right up to where we're at in the modern times with the modern consoles that will have the current gen consoles. If someone can find a way to crack a console, if someone can find a way to make reproduction games, believe me, they're going to do it. There is a market for it. And there's two separate markets, really. There's one that is the world of reproductions, which if you want to buy those types of games or those types of consoles, that's your prerogative. That's entirely up to you. I'm not against that, to be totally honest. There's lots of grey areas when it comes to things like emulation, but we'll not get into that today. Then there's the other market, which is sellers who are intentionally selling things that are not legitimate and trying to pass them off as being legitimate and therefore ripping people off. And I am definitely against that because I've been victim of it a few times. It is not nice when you fork out some cash for something that you have had your eye on and you think is a legitimate product, only to receive it in the post from a seller like Amazon, eBay, wherever you're buying your games from, and realize that you've been scammed. It happens a lot with the retro gaming scene because there is a massive demand for retro games, and there's also a high valuation to a lot of games. So therefore, people are trying to scam people into handing over lots of money so that they make a profit and you end up with something that isn't what you wanted. The reason I've got the camera focused on these two Castlevania games right here is because these cartridges are counterfeit. They're not legitimate Nintendo DS cartridges. I bought them a few years ago, and I bought them knowing that they were fakes. I didn't buy them because I wanted reproductions. I bought them knowing that they were being sold on eBay as legitimate games, but they were fakes. And I wanted to make a video exposing this, which I did on my old YouTube channel, because I wanted people to be aware that then and still now, there is a huge market for fake Nintendo DS games. The cartridges apparently are very easy to reproduce, and if you are just looking from far away, as you can see with these two cartridges, it's very difficult to tell the difference between this cartridge and a legitimate Nintendo DS cartridge. There are some things you can look out for that will tell you that they're fake. I'm not going to go into that today. Like I said, I made a video in the past. I may well make that video game again and revisit these cartridges and point out how you can tell which ones are fake and which ones aren't. The giveaway, the only thing I'll say right now, is that when I received these cartridges and I put them into my Nintendo 3DS, the cartridges are slightly bigger than the genuine ones, and therefore there's issues sometimes trying to push them in or trying to pull them out, which can break your handheld. So again, not going into all of that stuff today. There's lots of things that I could point out, and there's lots of stories that I could go into about how this is a thing that is going to be around until one day, if it's even possible, somehow a video game company manages to completely lock a system down. I know that there's a lot of controversy surrounding the Nintendo Switch 2 because it seems like Nintendo are trying to do that right now with the Switch 2 console. I watched a video recently about them doing something to the Switch to make it that if you try to plug in a third-party periphery that connects by USB, you're not able to do it. Nintendo have done something to stop you from being able to do that. It won't register the third-party periphery. Somebody will figure it out. They probably will figure it out. The thing I'm going to end on is, what are the consequences? Because I saw in another video earlier on that there is this idea that Nintendo, being the mighty power that they are, and they do come down hard on people for things like this, will stop Amazon from listing anything that is Nintendo related. I don't think they will. I don't think they'll go that far because there's far too much money to be made from selling on places like Amazon. They're all legitimate sellers on there. It's not just, your everyday person who's selling on there. I don't think they'll stop it. I think what they'll do, or what they'll try to do, is make an example of this person who was caught selling these unlicensed, we'll say, products on Amazon, and they will use that as a warning to other people not to do this, because it is, I know in the UK especially, I don't know about the laws in America, in the United States. In the UK, piracy is taken seriously. There were some local examples of people being busted for doing stuff like this in my town where I live from when I was younger, people being arrested and people being imprisoned. So it is a serious offence, it is taken seriously, and therefore I wouldn't condone it. I wouldn't say to anybody, go ahead and try to make your money in this way. Always, wherever possible, try to do it through legitimate means, because the consequences are just not worth it. For any kind of illegal activity, the consequences are just not worth it. Anyways, I'll get off my soapbox and being self-righteous and say that's it for now. I will catch you in the next video.